want to be sure that this is recording. All right. So today we'll be doing like a very simple animation. The class will be recorded such that you could even if you're not following me right now, you could just watch me and then take the video and practice it. But I will try to be very descriptive such that I will answer the questions that you might have when you're learning it alone. Then also, since you're all here, if you have questions or something that will confuse you when you're doing it by yourself, you could always ask me those questions. Today's class will not be too heavy or too difficult. So you should be able to follow through very well. So the aim of all of this is such that you're able to do. So if I do a simple animation today, you should be able to see other animations that are simple, like other designs that are simple, and also you should be able to do them. So this is the file we'll be working with, and it is currently in Photoshop. But this same file could also be built out in Figma as well, right? So today we might not be discussing how do you import from Figma and how do you bring your designs from Figma. We'll be working with Photoshop for now, but the process is the same, right? We are going to send this job from Photoshop to After Effects, then the process starts. It's the same way you send this job from Figma into After Effects, then the process starts, right? There is no now the idea for this thing is what we're going to discuss, but then I saw something. Give me a second, and I hope you can all hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So I saw something similar in terms of design on DesignersDAO. Let me put this. So let me put this side by side. Give me a second. Why is it going to be here? Give me a second. Listen side by side. Still the same thing. Anyways, so the reason why I'm trying to do this is so that you'll be able to identify what I call simple designs. And if it's a simple design, then you should be able to animate it. You don't need to call anybody. You can sit down in your room and do the whole thing. Now, if you see this design is even looking more complicated. Windows left arrow. Okay, thank you. This design is even looking more complicated than this one on the right. Now, this one on the right just has like text on screen. You can animate text on screen. We will animate text on screen today. Yeah. It also has all these elements by the side here, which you can animate. You can just be rotating it very slowly. Yeah. You can allow this art sign to either be pulsating, like going big and small, or you allow it to do like it's a peel, and then it will peel on the place where, like, you know how a label or a sticker does. You could just do that effect, After Effects. You could allow the background to have videos of maybe teams collaborating, it to be in the background. You'll be seeing people moving around. That is how you can take a simple design and animate it. So that is the theme of today's class. How can I take a simple design and animate it? So while we will be doing this will also be your assignment to also take it home, recreate it, change some elements in it, and also submit it. Now, let me make this full screen. Now, this picture that is here, it's an emoji that is here. So we would use a video to replace this picture, and then in the future when you're doing your own, you would also see how that is possible and how you would also um take any video from anywhere, any of these emoji videos, and put it in here. So far, okay, so every now and then I'll ask you guys if you have any questions for me. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand and stuff. Now we are in Photoshop. I know that many people are not really what's it called, good with Photoshop, but trust me, it is the same look, the same way it is, the same way files are arranged in Photoshop that they'll be arranged in Figma in a way, right? So all you have to do is um just look at the similarities, and I'll go through similarities now. So you have an image here. So you have an image here, which is here, this image. So there's a video that is clipped into a circle here. So this image is here. There's a small mic button here. There is a fire icon. These icons are all inside here, right? How did this thing become so small? And there's text here saying I'm learning VFX motion design at DesignersDAO. Then at the bottom here, I have this text all in a rectangular circle. So I put them in a way that when I take them to After Effects, I want them to scroll left or scroll right or scroll left again. This bottom part here is just two text and an icon. If you look at it simplistically, you know that, okay, this is actually simple. Yeah. So let me describe the animation before we actually animate it. What I plan to do is to allow this face scale in, like it will go from being big into small, or it will go from being small into big. It will not just appear there, right? It will go from being small into big. Yeah. Then things like this fire, I want the fire to be burning. Yeah. The heart too should be pulsating. Then this brain, I don't know what should be there, but then it should probably be rotating or something. Then this text will come in one after the other. I'm learning motion VFX design at DesignerDAO. This will come in after the other. Then this text will come in from the left hand side, go towards the right. This one will come from the right hand side, go towards the left. Same thing with this. And then this whole block at the bottom here will go from down up into the screen. Yeah. The background will have some sort of what is it called, changing of colors and all that. Let me show you the initial color that was there. So it can change color over time. So by the time we're done, you should be able to play with all the possible animation buttons that is in After Effects, so that when you're working on your own project, you most likely will not even do something as complicated as this. You just keep it simple, right? Then there are some dots on screen. I don't know if you can see me turning them on and off, an arrow, bottom text, bottom, and the rest. So I grouped each thing together in a small group so that it will be, and I named them, so it will be easy for me to just identify them in After Effects. Make my head no go crash. Something like layer 0 will probably give me problems to remember what layer 0 is. So I can just call it background. You get. So everything here is named properly so that you know exactly, because if you make any attempt to make it look complicated, trust me, your head you start scratching your head, you close the app, you go and drink water, you come back and the rest. So I try not to make it complicated. Simple design that should not give anybody problems. All right. So the next that's just an introduction. The next phase of it for me to go into After Effects. Does anybody have any question for me so far? In the 3, 2. All right. Dan Nelson. Dan
Hi,
Nelson.
Michael.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry,
Hi.
I was muted. Sorry, I feel like is there a particular animation you should have in mind before knowing what kind of animation you should do? Like, is there a site where you need to learn different kinds of animations? And would it be too much having like a lot of things going on a particular website and all? Like, what is the balance?
Okay. Okay. So it's most things we would normally, I personally would normally get inspiration of what I'm to animate from different websites. So I choose to go through something like Dribble. I choose to go through something like, even on Instagram too. I would see animations that I like. I would just save them like in a bookmark. Then later on, I'll come back and um I would be able to recreate the animation. I also make videos on my phone. So like video animations I see on DSTV and the rest, or on billboards, such that I can be able to replicate that animation in real life. So there's no particular website where you go to and say, okay, these are the animations that you should do. It's just that there are inspirations all over the place. So you could video them, you could collect them, you could keep them for the day that you want to practice them. Now, this particular design you're seeing in that we're about to practice with is in this way because we want to touch every aspect that you might have an issue with when you're doing your own. So it is looking complicated or it's looking busy simply because I wanted to put as much stuff as possible so that by the time we are done with it, you would have learned how this is done, how that is done, how, because there are some simple animations that will have maybe this effect at the bottom and this text. Another one will just have this and this I are supposed to do, you know. So I'm trying to put in everything in this one design such that by the time you're done, you should be able to like have viewed everything. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, yes, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. So let us now import this into After Effects. So I'm just going to save this as design sample 2023. It is also on the Discord page in motion designers track. I submitted it, so I sent it in today. All right. So let's open After Effects. Here we are in After Effects. And if you remember from our last class, last week Saturday, if you want to import things into After Effects that have been saved in a particular file, just double click on this place and then it should show you your previous files. Then I'll just go to design sample and I'm supposed to just click on it. But then it's saying import as. So if I import it as a footage, like a picture, it should just remain a picture. If I import it as a composition, then it will come in as separate layers. Just that those separate layers would have what's it called? Different anchor points or the same anchor points instead of them to be the same, instead of them to be different rather. So the one that I would use is composition, then retain layer sizes. Right? Just click on it. Composition retain layer size. That's all. Then click import. So to ask you again, composition retain layer sizes, editable layer styles, and I click OK. So now there's a folder that contains all the designs, all the files that imported, and then there's a composition that contains all the designs together. So if I just double click on the composition, it should open and it should look like this. Like this. In the background here, I added masks to this thing to make it not in that. See, if you check here, the background is mixing with the text in the not so good way. So I could either just make this in Photoshop. If I press Ctrl, it will it's the effect together. Or I can come here and use masking. So I'll choose to do everything in After Effects instead of going back to Photoshop. So let me just close Photoshop for now, so that we'll not need to go back. All right. So that's usually the process for importing things, especially from Photoshop. You just double click here, or you drag and drop any of it too. But make sure you always do composition within layer sizes. That's the only way it will come as as a separate picture. If you click on it and you mistakenly put it as footage and press import footage and press import, press OK, you're going to get it as a single picture, which is this. You're going to get as a single picture, which you cannot animate, right? That's why we always do composition retain layer sizes. Another thing I need you guys to be aware of is, and I can put it as a note. Let me just put it as a note on the screen. The last animation you did, AE is going to use the timeline of it. That's the note. So you see how long this animation is right now. Can let me check. All right. See how long this animation is. Can someone unmute their mic and tell me what the duration of this animation is? I'm going to wait. Can someone unmute their mic and tell me what the duration of this animation is?
2 minutes 5 seconds, if that's correct.
2 minutes 5 seconds.
2 minutes.
Any other person?
2 minutes 2 seconds 32 frames.
All right, great. So this thing is 2 minutes 2 seconds 32 frames. All right. Now, the reason why it is like this, the reason why it is frame rate 60 or whatever it is, I can move this back to frame rates 20, 25 or anything. The reason why it is like this is because the last thing I worked on was 2 minutes and plus seconds. So it will take up the timeline of the last thing you worked on. Now, some of you are going to open your After Effects. You're going to open this project that I'm sending to you on your own After Effects, and it's going to give you a different timeline, simply because the last thing you worked on or the last thing you opened was a 5 seconds thing. It will convert all your animations, all your distance into a 5 second thing. Why that is bad is because when you discover that it is very short and you want to extend the time, you'd have to manually extending the time for all the compositions one by one, which is a bad thing. So maybe before you start your own, you should just do a new composition, create a composition that has enough time, press OK, yeah, before you now import. I don't know if that makes sense. I could practice to show you what the problem is, but then just know that the last thing you created, it is going to copy the composition of it. Yeah, so you can do yourself some good by at least creating one composition ahead of time, making sure there's enough space, say 2 minutes at least, before you now import your After Effects composition. That way, you won't have this issue of it is being too short. It will just be 5 seconds or even 1 second safe, and you will now have to manually start increasing the time. So if you see yourself in that situation, do composition settings and then increase the time here so something that's enough for you. Also, you need to enter into every composition and increase the time too, so it will also be enough for you. Then you also need to extend these things. So to prevent all that problem, just make sure that you open at least one composition and you make sure that it is long enough. All right. So the way we are going to do this is we're going to make it like stepwise. So we will not do it in a way that will be complicated, right? we're going to start from the background and work our way up to the top. So, and again, please, if you have any questions, just call my attention. Now, you'll agree with me that all these three here, background, BG, and BG, they are all the background. Yeah, the rest are not. So I can just turn off the rest. Just turn off the rest so I can see the background very well. I can see the background very well. So I just realized I've not explained keyframing. I don't know if it was explained yesterday or if I should still explain it very well before I go ahead. Someone should let me know. Someone that was in the class. Okay, explain please. All right. Okay. Let's okay. All right. Let's I've heard. All right. So I'm going to explain, but let me just do something to the background first. The main explanation I can use any of the elements on the screen. I can use any of the elements on the screen to explain, but let me just fix this background first. The only problem I want to fix in the background is this part is what's it called? It is let me just put this in. See, it is there's no masking here. I want to put a mask here that will prevent it from clashing with the rest of the design. See, it's clashing with the rest of the design. I want to put a mask here. And I want to open it to everyone to tell me what to do right now. I want to create a mask because I've explained a little bit about creating masks before. I want to create a mask that I'll just draw here. I'll just cover this place. The rest will show, but just this place. I need someone that will unmute their mic and tell me how I will do that. The time starts now. 10, 9,
Okay,
8,
Shay, can you hear me?
7. All right.
Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you.
can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
it's just to set the rectangle and then draw it over the stuff that you want to mask, and it creates a mask.
This rectangle. Hello? Is it this place?
Automatically.
Yeah,
So far,
your
you are
network cut for a
selected.
bit. Is it?
Yes, on the rectangle too.
Okay. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So far,
But yeah, I've heard you. I've heard you. You're right. You're correct. You're correct. All right. So I will take any of these tools, but right now I'll use the ellipse tool. So I want to create a circular mask. So as long as I'm selecting this BG here, I'm just going to draw a circular mask like this. Yeah, this is selecting this place. Now, if I can invert this mask, it will mean that I can show the rest apart from this middle place. So here, you can see that it's created a mask and it says invert. So if I click invert here, it is going to automatically invert. So everything else is showing apart from what I selected in the middle here. So I can further go down with this drop down and I can feather. So let me just feather this out. So that middle place should not be a problem anymore. So if I show all this stuff back, you should be able to read this. I can make the mask bigger if I wanted to, but you should be able to read this thing properly. Anyways, so right now I want to explain keyframing so that it will be easier for us to just do this and go ahead. I'm going to explain keyframing using the face. So let me make this view composition background. Let me make this right. All right. Let me duplicate this. I can keep a copy somewhere. I'm not going to spoil the main copy. All right. So this this thing's anchor point, as you can see, is in the middle instead of being in its center. So there's a tool that I'll use to move this anchor point to the middle of this face so that I can scale it up and scale it down properly. What's the name of that tool? Anybody except from Good Luck go now. Three.
Sorry, please, what was the question?
The question is, I want to put this anchor point tool in the middle here. What should I do? How do I do that?
Okay, it's a shortcut key, Control Alt Home.
Control Alt Home. It's already in its home. It's already in the middle. I want to move it to here in the middle of this image.
Okay, the
Because
first. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you can easily press your press Y, which is to the anchor point shortcut. Then you click on it, you drag it to wherever you want it.
There's a fair one now. All right, that's correct. You just go here, which is the anchor point tool. You click on it, and then you can now move this button to the middle. Well, he said why, because that is the shortcut key for it. If you go here, you see the shortcut key for it, why. But usually what I would say is go to this anchor point tool and move it. Either ways, as long as you're able to move it from the middle into this place, it means that you can now scale up, scale down, and it's scaling properly the way it should. All right. So keyframing is the act of animating your animations, giving life to animations, and they don't always pass 4 or 5 properties, just 5 things that are being keyframed, to create an animation. The other things you can keyframe about 2 million things, but for now, keeping it simple, there are just 5 things that need to be keyframed. So their names are they're these transform buttons. So their names are anchor point, position, scale, rotation, and opacity. Yeah. So the first one is anchor points. You can tell that I can use this anchor points to move an animation left and right, up and down. Yeah. These values in front represent the values that thing is on the screen. So, for example, the position of this thing is 528, 565, or 465 rather. That is its position. So if I change the position, maybe I bring it down, or I bring it left and right, or I adjust this like this, the position changes. Now, if I can keyframe that, I've created an animation. If I can keyframe it where it is going from 0, what's it called, 0, the scale being 0 to being 100, it means that I have animated that thing. Yeah. Same thing with rotation, and lastly with opacity. So these are the 5 major keys that you should know. These numbers in front, they are just like mathematics. So from position being at 465, if I can type there and I say plus 53, add 53 to it. If I type there and say multiplied by 2, to multiply by 2 and bring it down, you get, for those of you that want to be precise in your calculations, you can actually use it to do calculations. Yeah. Now, we don't used to come down and drop all this thing down all the time. We just use shortcut keys for them. So for position, or for anchor point 2, you press A, anchor point 2. For position, you press P. For scale, you press S. For transparency or opacity, you press T. And then for rotation, you press R. So whichever one you want to animate, you have shortcut keys for them. It's just with their name, right? Now, if you want to see your rotation value, at the same time you want to see your scale value, at the same time you want to see your position value, I can press Shift, then press that new key, I can press Shift and press S to see scale. I can press Shift and press P to see position. Why is not working? Okay, well, all the other ones are working, but P is not working. Either ways, I can press Shift and press another button in case I want to see that new button joined in. Okay, it's my keyboard. The battery is low. Give me a second. And everything. All right. Anyways, so can press Shift and press a new button and to add to this, but then basically just use rotation as we use scale, we use position, and the rest just to bring up those values. Yeah. The last thing you need to know is the letter U shows all keyframes. So whichever keyframe that is applied on my animation, once I press U, it's going to show me all the keyframes. All right. So let's do a simple keyframe. I'll explain keyframe and I'll explain easing. Then I would also explain a little bit about the graph editor. So for you to add a new keyframe, you click on this keyframe button to add a new keyframe. Yeah. So every now and then you will see this blue icon being turned on. That shows that there's a keyframe on there. Now, if you want to add the second keyframe, some would think that you need to click on this same button again to add another keyframe, which is wrong. If you click on this button again, it's going to delete all the keyframes. Yeah. If you have 1 million, if you have 1 million keyframes on this thing, yeah, once you mistakenly click this button again to delete all your keyframes. So it's a very quick way to delete keyframes, but at the same time, don't click that button again. So the button to click next is this one that is here. This one that's at the end here. Some people, they have this whole panel all the way to this side. So this is where this thing is. But regardless, just know that it is this button is in charge of, why is it refusing to move now? This button is in charge of adding new keyframes, add or remove a keyframe at any current time. So let's do change of position over 2 seconds. Change of position over 2 seconds. Put 2 keyframes in a space of 2 seconds. So there's a keyframe here at 0 seconds, and then there's a keyframe here at 2 seconds. So I'll put a keyframe here. This is the button to press to add keyframes. So I'll click it. Yeah. Another way to add keyframes is just by adjusting any of the values here. So if I adjust this value, a new keyframe will be added. But that's not what we want to do. Let's also use this plus this one here to add new keyframes. All right. So now you have 2 keyframes. This button that is shaped here is a button for keyframe. So there's one keyframe here, there's another keyframe here. So for you to create an animation, there needs to be a change in one of the 2 keyframes. So you're either changing the value of this here, or I'll skip to the next one and change the value of this, one of the 2. So if I come here, this space here, I like it. I like where it is. I want the second time I see this keyframe, it should be down here. So this first keyframe, we are fine with it. The second keyframe, we want it to come all the way down here. So we can do that by adjusting these values. So I can just do that by adjusting this value and bringing it down here. Yeah. So right now you have this thing going from up to down, right? You have this going from up to down. That's one way of doing it. Let me press Ctrl Z, bring it back. The second way of doing it is I can just use my mouse and drag it down. So let me just drag this thing down. I've brought it down. 2 keyframes going up and down, right? The first keyframe is up here. Second keyframe is down here. And that is pretty much how all the animations are. They are just two keyframes. One is doing something, the other one is doing something else. The time between them is the amount of time it takes to do that separate thing, that new thing. Do you get? But it is literally just the same value, the same position or rotation or scale, just changing over time. Right? That is as easy as I can explain it. Now, another way of changing the keyframes is if I double click here, I can effect a change on X value or Y value, these same values, but we don't do that. All we normally do is I would create two keyframes. I'll put one here. I'll come to 2 seconds. I'll put another one. Those two. Then the first one I'm okay with. Is the second one I'm not okay with. So the second one, I'll just drag the thing down to where I want it to be, maybe here. And that's all. That's what I used to do all the time. Just put two keyframes in the right place, and then the second one make a change, or the first one make a change. Any of the two. That is literally how I do. So it is the same value that is used for rotation, same thing used for scale, on and on like that. So now let me do scale. I'll put one keyframe here, and I'll go all the way to the end. I can use this thing to these arrows to shift from left and right. So I can go all the way to the end and put another one. So the initial one, I can make it 0. Let's press 0 and press enter. So now it will scale up in that same spot. Just go from, let me show scale alone. Yes. It will go from scale 0, you can see the values here, 0, all the way to 100, where it is currently. If I don't want it to be 100, I can come into here and I can say 50. And to scale from 0 to 50. Yeah. So anyhow you do it, just make a change between the first keyframe and the second keyframe, and you have yourself an animation, right? Very soon you see how easy this thing is. It will just be plug and play. Just click two keyframes, create two keyframes, create two keyframes. Now, one thing I need to mention again is easing, and easing is very important for what we do, because if I should let me delete these two keyframes. Also, you can copy and paste keyframes. So I can copy this, Ctrl C, and come here and paste it so many times. If I do clone on here, I can also paste keyframes too. So I will also provide this motion tools plugin because we'll need it. All right. So let me delete this keyframe. Let me just do position. Now, an important thing is in After Effects is always is your keyframes. What that means is you should be able to, instead of allowing your keyframes to this position thing I explained to you, instead of allowing your keyframes to always be the same speed from beginning to the end. Let me see if there'll be a GIF that will explain this better. All right. I think this one, no. Let's see. Easing and without easing. So this is cracking on the screen, yeah. But then this one that's without easing is going on a single straight line. It is the same speed that I started, which is what it's going to end with. While this one with easing, it speeds up and then slows down. Yeah. Now, in animation, for you to separate yourself between a beginner and maybe an intermediary person or someone who is at least good, always apply easing, yeah, into your animations. Now, there's something I call intro, normal, and outro easing. So I'm going to explain all the three of them for it to be easy for you to understand. Now, when this thing when this picture of this lady moves from the left to the right, let me just allow it to be like this. So it moves from left to right, or from, should I do up to down? Let me do left to right. I can also change this composition and make the width longer so that I can explain this to you. Sorry, give me a second. I want to make sure that I do not mess this composition up. Let me copy this guy out to a new space so I can do all the stuff I'm mentioning. Let me do it. All right, good. So position keyframe. Let's allow the image to go from this place all the way to this end. So that means I'm going to do first keyframe, yeah, second keyframe all the way to the end. So let me just adjust this guy. Let me just adjust this guy all the way to the end. And most times my animations are always within 2 seconds. All right. So that's a lot of journey to be traveling sharp. But this is going what in a way we call linear. If you see these two keyframes that are like this, it's called linear animation, just linear. It's just going straight, the same speed throughout. So if you're not using your keyframes, what you are doing is just creating a linear animation. So there's no easing involved in this. This is just a regular listen. So now for you to ease, yeah, you select the two keyframes, you right click, and then where is this? You right click, and then you go to keyframe assistant, and then you do easy ease. This F9. Yeah. On my keyboard, I'll just press F9. I won't need to go through all that steps, but I'm just showing you where it is. So you don't need to use shortcut keys all the time. So for you to ease, select the keyframes you want to ease, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. It will turn into this hourglass shaped thing, which is what I would call normal animation. So I'm just normal easing. So I'm going to call this F9, normal easing. We've not discussed intro, we've not discussed outro. If you want to do your animation, and if you just do normal easing, I'll be happy with you. Me and you can be friends. Just do normal easing if you can. But the one that is really nice for a professional is for you to know when and how to do intro easing and outro easing. So right now you can see that this thing is just going from left to right, yeah, and it's pretty basic. So what we want to do is we want it to be fast at the beginning, and then towards the end it will just slow down, right? Fast at the beginning, and towards the end it will just slow down. So how do we do that? This is where the graph editor comes in. The graph editor allows you to speed up a keyframe or to slow it down. Now, I want to explain this. You don't need to know the graph editor like that. There are what's it called? There's a plugin that we're going to use here, but I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain the theory to you, yeah, so that if for any reason this plugin is not working tomorrow, you would at least know how to get around it. Yeah. So now let's go to this button. This button is called the graph editor, right? Once I click it, it will show me this thing that is here. Now, not everybody sees this initially. If you want to see it, if you click this place, there's a button here. After this eye icon, there's a button here. So some people are seeing value graph. So their own looks like this. It looks like this green and red lines showing here. It means that this value is not changing and this value is changing. But then instead of seeing this is not what we want to see. This is what we want to see here. Click here. We want to see speed graph. So this graph dictates the speed. So right now, something that was eased properly is going to look like this. If I should come on here and I should show you, where is it? Where is it? There's no example of it. But then a regular easing looks like this. It speeds up and then slows down. Just regular easing. Yeah. Now, if it is tilted to the right hand side, to the left hand side, it means that is an intro animation. If it is tilted to the right hand side, if the peak is at the right hand side here, that means it's an outro animation. But I will explain better. So now, let me select these two keyframes. I'm going to just drag this yellow icon all the way to the left like this. I'll drag this all the way to the left like this. So now it is peaking at this place. It is speeding faster at this place, then slowing down towards the end. So if I press play, I don't know if you can see it, but it will speed up and then slow down. That is how, if I should show you any animation I've done, you should see how everything, like if I had 10 of this, if I had 10 images like this, let me just do like 10 and I'll explain this later, but let me just do it like this. You would see all of them speed up and slowing. So why they call it intro easing is because, let's say you had a UI design you're working on, or a what's it called, Photoshop design you're working on. You see everything that is coming to the screen coming with speed, and then eventually slowly enter into the place where it is supposed to enter. So coming with speed and enter into where it's supposed to enter. That's what we call it intro easing or intro animation. Now, if I was doing an outro animation, it would be the opposite of that, right? Select these two keyframes, enter your graph editor, and these two guys, they're going to drag them all the way to the right here, like this. So now it will be slow until it speeds up. Slow until it speeds up. Now, if something is leaving your scene, if something is leaving your animation, it should slowly move until it speeds up. It should not just speed up and be going. It should not just disappear. It needs to go like slowly before it leaves. That's why we call it outro animation, right? So what I'm going to do now is, because we already know there are two separate or two different what's it called, styles of, or rather there are three different styles of easing. I'm going to explain to you this plugin to see how it does exactly the same thing. So now I've gone back to regular easing. I pressed F9. I've done F9. So I'll go back to regular easing. If you even want to cancel this whole thing, if you don't want to do any easing at all, you press Control and you click on these keyframes. It will convert it back to regular linear animation. Yeah. Or you right click and then let me see. There's a long process for it. But then if you select the animation, the keyframes, and you right click on it, or is it right click, left click, just click on it, one pressing Control, it's converted back to linear animation. But let's go. We're on easy ease right now. We are on F9. This regular easing, like this. Now, if I wanted to use plugins for this, all I would need to do is, for me to have in an intro animation, I would use this button. This button is there. Make sure it is at the beginning here. And then the end button, make sure it is at the end here. Just this two, like this. And what that will give me, if I should check the graph editor, it gives me this flow, like this. Let me click it. Actually, I can show you. If I drag this to this place, you can see how simply changing these values here is changing the graph editor. So you don't even need to open the graph editor most times. You just come to this plugin and to do it for you. So let's say I want an outro animation. I'll drag this to this place and I'll drag this to this place. As you can see, it's currently on outro. If I want an intro animation, I'll drag this to this place and drag this to this place. As you can see, it's currently intro. Yeah, you don't need to fiddle with these buttons here. Just come here. So I don't even need to open graph editor. I will see two handsome looking keyframes like this. I will select it and I'll click this and I'll click this, and to automatically ease my keyframes for me. Now I can tell if your keyframes are not eased. So if you submit your animations and I see that they are uneased, I will know that it is like you want us to fight. You know, you just want to punch me or something. I would see it as you're fighting with me. So this easing allows your animation to be smooth, and it should be how all your what's it called, animation should be now from now on. So let me explain. Whenever you want something that is out of the scene, out of your screen space, to enter into your screen space, let's say you want can you zoom out a bit? I'll zoom out a bit. Let's say you want, let me zoom into this. Let's say you want this sign up today, this screen here, to go from out of your screen into your screen. Yeah. It means you're doing an intro animation, intro easing rather. Let's say you have something that is currently in your scene and you want it to go out. You're doing an outro easing. So it is going to slowly start moving until it speeds away. Now, let's say something is currently in your scene and I want it to move around. That is when you do regular easing, right? You are allowed to move from one place to the other, just regular easing. So that's how you apply it. If something is out of your scene, you do intro. If something is in your scene already and wants to go out, you do outro. And then if something is already in your scene and you want it to remain there, you know, no extra speed, you just do regular F9 easing. Does anybody have a problem with what I've explained now? Because it's about to start becoming serious. Does anybody have a question? Then, eh? Can I take what again? Obina, use your mic or type. Can I take what again? The intro, outro stuff. Okay. Does everybody agree, or should I continue without going through it again? Because how do we get the plugin? The plugin is available from I would give the link to the plugin. So if I'm to explain intro animation again, whenever you have two keyframes like this, these two keyframes here, what this thing is doing is linear animation. So it's going from left to right, same speed, nothing like speed up and slow down, same speed. Yeah. And this is boring to animators, right? What you want is you want it to be eased. You want it to be eased. So select the two keyframes, come to this motion tools plugin, and you touch this place and you touch this place. Yeah. And just like that, your animation will be eased. It will look like this, and it will now move fast and slow. For you to confirm, because it could look like this and it's not the right thing, for you to confirm that it is the right thing, just click on your graph editor. Just click on this graph editor and you should see this is a sign of intro. It peaks, it becomes fast at the beginning and slows down at the end. It enters the scene in a hurry and then slows down at the end. That is an intro animation. If I select these two keyframes, because these are two keyframes, and I do the opposite of that, I drag this all the way to the right and I drag this all the way to the left, it's going to do an outro animation. It will be slow at the beginning, then speed up at the end. Yeah, that is how to do an intro or an outro animation just by moving these things left and right. So right now we are on intro animation. So it will come. Let's say this was outside. Let's say this was outside very well. Let me just make sure this is outside. So it will come out from outside into the animation and slow down there. See how it's speeding at the beginning and then slowing down at the end. That is what we want. That is the aim of this stuff, for it to speed up and slowly enter into your animation. Now you can mix this thing with something else. You can mix it with transparency. So let me press Shift T. I can see the transparency button. If I click here, one keyframe, and I click this place here for a second keyframe, 2 keyframes. I can make this first keyframe 0 and make this opacity 0. So as I press play, it is going from, you can see it is almost not visible into being visible, right? Does that make sense? I'm mixing 2 keyframes. Now I can mix a third keyframe. I can add rotation to this. Create 1 keyframe here. Go forward around here, and then allow this. Put a second key. So I have 2 keyframes for rotation. If I go to the first one and I rotate it like this, yeah. So if I play, you can see how the thing is rotating and becoming straight. Yeah. So I can adjust this to any time. So I can mix, it's possible to mix 2 keyframes together to form a single animation. So most times you might be seeing so many things going on your screen. It is just a mixture of different animations. So side question, if I want to rotate this, if I have the design of this design and I want to rotate 1, 2, 3, how do I go about it? I need someone to unmute their mic and tell me, how will I have rotated this? How would you have rotated this 3 things? All right, Emmanuel. Those people who have answered will not need to answer any question again. So it must always be a new person.
Hello?
So you might be lucky to answer a simple question. All right, Emmanuel.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I think I would select the layers, like the
Okay.
individual layers.
Okay.
Then
What if
choose the initial
what
point.
if the anchor point is in the middle here at this arc here?
Hello?
I can hear you. I'm saying that what if the anchor point for those things that you selected, the anchor point is in the middle? What are you going to do?
Sorry, I'm having a difficult time hearing you. Let me.
Okay.
Hello, Michael.
Hello?
Yeah.
Please, could you rephrase the question again? I missed it.
All right. So I want to rotate these elements 1, 2, 3. I want to rotate them. They just be rotating over time. How do I do that? How do I go about it? Assuming the anchor point is in the middle here.
Okay. Depending on where you want it to be rotated, you could bring the anchor point to the bottom,
To
where
the bottom.
yes, depending on where you want it, where you want, how do I even put it?
Okay, so Sam, you have to wait. Let Emmanuel, because he was speaking first. Let Emmanuel continue because he was speaking. Yeah, Emmanuel.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think I would put the anchor point at the middle of each of the layers so that
Right.
it turns from the middle or from the middle of the shape, right? Then
Yeah.
select the layer. Then select the rotation property
Or you press
in
to
that
see the
particular
rotation
layer.
property. Or you press to see the rotation property.
There is this arrow down. I'm not on my system now.
Okay,
There's this arrow
tell me
down.
from your mind. Yeah. There's a shortcut key for
Okay,
it.
there's
What's
this
the
arrow
shortcut
on
key?
the layer. But if I can see your screen, I can tell you from your screen, please.
All right. I'll show you my screen.
Okay, I don't know the shortcut, but I think I would select the layer. Then there's usually an arrow that shows downward.
All right.
Yeah,
This
then
one.
I'll click the arrow. Yes. Then select the rotation property.
All right.
Then for the rotation, for the starting, that's the intro now. I would leave it to 0. Then create a keyframe there for the intro.
Mm-hmm.
then rotate it, move my CTI forward, then rotate it through an angle. That will be my second point.
Your
After moving the
CTI.
CTI, yeah,
What's the
this
CTI?
the line that indicates where the time frame is.
Okay. That's this thing.
Yes.
Oh, current time indicator CTI. Wow.
Yeah, correct
Okay.
time indicator.
All right. All right.
Then
New
move
one.
it to where I want
Mm.
the new
CTI.
angle to be. Rotate it,
All
then
right.
create another keyframe there.
All right. And then you
Then if
just
I
change the
play it
value.
through,
Mm.
yes, when I play it through, you'll notice
Mm.
it will turn through that the animation will play from the start
Okay.
point to the end point. Then to change the behavior, that's
Okay.
the space in between the starting
All right.
point and the end point.
All right.
You can go to the graph editor
You are
to
correct. You are correct. Yeah. All right. So you don't need editor for that one. If you want it to go at a linear speed, just rotate it normally without slowing up or what's it called, speeding up or slowing down. You don't need to do graph editor for that. You just leave it. Let it just be rotating. You should also change your name to CTI just in case. All right. So basically for animations, it's just a mixture of so many keyframes here and there. Sometimes it's basic keyframes, just two. Sometimes it's more than two. But for this our class, we're going to keep it to just two. Does anybody have any question so far from this whole stuff? Before we now move into what I will call expressions. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. So there's something called expressions in After Effects. Expressions allow you to add, you guessed, expressions to your animations. So let's let's bring this guy to the middle. Yeah. Make sure that the anchor point is in its center, right? So expressions allow you to um, add a mathematical calculation to your animation that will do a specific thing. So now there's something called bounce expression or elastic expression. So we're going to talk about like 2 or 3 expressions so you just know what I'm talking about. All right. Let's do this thing. I want this thing to scale and bounce in. So I'm creating a new keyframe here. Then maybe shortly after, maybe after 30 frames, I'm creating a second keyframe. So I want this to go from 0 to 100. So that's 0 to 100, right? But I want it to bounce. I don't want it to just come in like that. I want it to do like to bounce in. So in After Effects, you can search for bounce expression After Effects and copy out the mathematical expression. Yeah. I'm doing theory, then I'm also doing the the short the short version of it. I'll explain the complicated one, I'll also explain the simple one. So now this is an expression. It is just a bunch of code in After Effects that allow you to give your keyframes an expression if you wanted to. So now I want to click this from N all the way down to this place here. All of this. I'm going to copy it. So now how do you add an expression? You see this keyframe here? We can pressing Alt, the Alt key. If you Alt and you click on this keyframe, it will show up this hidden place. Yeah, you can see expression for scale. It's currently showing this. all we need to do is to paste. Once we do Control V, would have pasted in this what's the word? This mathematical equation or whatever. We don't need to know what it does, but just know that that's the expression for bounce. So if I should go away from it and let me see if it works. No, it doesn't. Let me see. Blah 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 blah. Let me delete this. It's having a problem. Let me find another one. There's one that was used by, they're just different sites and they have their own expression. I'll show you, I'm showing the practical, I'm showing the theory, then you will later see the short form of it. So let's copy this one all the way to this place. Right. And then let me paste it. I'll press Alt and I'll click here. And then I paste. Let's see if it does. Yeah. Doesn't do it as well as I wanted. So, just give me a second. I'll soon get the right one. So some of them, I don't use this method again, but I'm just showing you how I got about this method. All right. So I think that worked. So if you can see here, these values are showing red. It means that After Effects is no longer controlling this thing, it's being controlled by an expression. That is why instead of being blue, it is being red, showing red. Now, if something has an expression attached to it, it's going to be showing red. I'm saying this because there are times when you probably go and get a template that they're using expression and you don't know that it is the expression that's preventing it from working. So now there's an expression there. If I do this drop down here, you should see this expression being played out. If I want to disconnect it, there's an equals to button here. And once I click it, I'll remove the expression. So as you can see, it's just scaling in normally. Yeah. Once I press equal to again, the expression comes back on. I don't know if you can tell, but the bounce is there, obviously. See how the thing is bouncing. It will not bounce like that if the expression is not there, right? So long story short, Motion Tools has their own. Look at it here, elastic. It has their own. So you don't need to know what I just copied. You just need to use Motion Tools on. So I'm going to get rid of this expression. I'm going to press Alt and click on this scale in. So it gets rid of that expression. So right now, I want to use Motion Tools on. So this thing is normal scaling in. Once I click these two keyframes, select the two keyframes, and I click elastic, it adds an expression of its own. So as you can see, there's a long ass expression inside here that you need to know this. You don't need to know, just know that that is what is happening. It added an expression of its own. But what that does is, if I should play this now, you should see, I don't know if you can notice it, but then there's a bounce to it. Yeah, the shorter the time, the more the bounce. So if can you see how that thing scaled in? Yeah, that is what we're trying to do. We just want it to bounce in instead of just what's it called? Just scaling in normally. So I'm going to cancel all of that. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to cancel everything. I'm going to do it again. So you have your design here. So in this case, let's just say we have this face design here. I don't know why. I've gone to mess with this guy, Sean. Anyways, we have our face design here. We want this face design to scale in, bounce in, then move up to this place. I already know that I'm going to use the scale property and the position property. But let's keep it simple for now. Let's say I want to make it scale in right now. Yeah. How do I do that? So I'll do scale. I click one button. I come forward maybe 30 seconds. I add the second one. The first one, I make it 0. So I'm just going to take this to 0. It goes from 0 to 100, right? I'll select the two of them. Now, for position, we will normally ease position. would probably ease rotation too. But for scale, most times I'm always adding elastic to scale instead of easing it. So I'll select this two, yeah, and I'll click elastic, right? So what that does is it does this elastic thing. I can bring this back to be very close to the initial keyframe, and then it does this bounce like this. So anytime you want to add bounce, anytime you see bounce in what's it called? Anytime you see bounce in After Effects, know that there's not really a keyframe for that. Yeah, it is just this and elastic. This keyframe and elastic. That's all you need to do for it to happen. All right, so let's start off with this animation. We're going to keep it simple, and it will eventually start getting complicated little by little. Okay, there's one more expression I need to talk to you about. So let me talk to you about it first before I move on. The second expression is looping expressions. So I talked about bounce expression, and the second one is looping expression. So a loop is something that continues going on over and over and over and over and over again, right? So let's say I want this thing to go from left to right and back, left, right, left, right, left, right, over and over again. I could set keyframes for that. I could put a keyframe here. I'll go to position 1, put a keyframe here, go to position 2, bring the keyframe back, go to position 3, bring this forward, on and on like that. Yeah. But that would be a major waste of my time, because I would have to do it for the whole long listen. So what we use is loop out expressions. Yeah. So let me delete this. Someone should tell me how social media mic can tell me how I'll add an expression. I want to add a looping out expression to this. Social media mic can tell me how do I add an expression.
Can I speak?
Yes. You've not yet answered the question, so you can speak.
Okay. On the last keyframe,
On the
you
last
move.
keyframe,
Yes, you move. You place your CTI on it, then you move one frame backward.
then you move one frame backwards.
Yeah, backward. Then you double click. After moving one frame backward, you make a keyframe there.
You make a keyframe there.
Yes. Then you go back to the next one. Forward.
Go forward. Yeah.
Forward. Then you double click. You change the value to 0.
Then you change this value to 0.
Yes.
I should double click it first.
Yes.
Okay. Then change the value to 0.
0. Yes.
0. Yeah.
Then you go on. You press Alt on the position key.
I'll press Alt on the position. Which one? This one or this one?
Yeah, the one you're with. Yeah,
This
Alt.
one.
Yes.
Alt. I'm pressing it.
No, on the time stuff.
Yes, on this time stuff.
Yes. Then
Okay, let me stop you. Let me stop you. Sorry to stop you. Yeah. But then what I wanted you to tell me is just to press Alt and click on this button. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to open the expression. That's how I add the expression. Just wanted to open it. I don't know where this is. I don't know where this is heading to. I'd love to find out, but for the sake of time, let me just
all right, thank
one of these days you come and explain to us where that was heading to.
I'll
Anyways,
be
anyway, so I want to add an expression to position here. So I'm just going to press Alt and I'll click on this and you see my expression button show up here. So now, the expression we want to talk about is loop expression. So I'm going to type LOOP and I can see 4. I'm looking for loop out. So loop out expression. Now I want to impute a figure. I want to type in something in between these two brackets. So I'll type in, I don't know how, I think it's quotation mark. So just 1. It will show me the 4 types of loops that we have. So there's loop out continue, which is that whatever speed was doing before, you're going to continue it forever and ever. Loop out cycle, which is it will go back to the beginning, like it will cycle it back. So if it gets to that end, it's going to cycle it back and come again. Then loop out offsets means that it's going to what is it called? I think it's going to either start again, but then offset it or something. I've forgotten. Then loop out ping pong. Ping pong is just the same way it sounds. It is like go forward, come back, go forward, come back. So what we want to do is loop out ping pong. Yeah, but the other ones also apply. So if I do loop out ping pong, you should see that this thing is going to go first keyframe back forever and ever. You know, so I can write it out here. The expression loop out what's that thing I said? Loop out ping pong. So there are other ones. If I should do loop out continue, if I should do loop out continue, it's going to get to that point and continue going forward ever, ever, ever. If I should do loop out cycle, so let me, what is a cycle? It's going to do like this. Going to get there and then cycle back and then, you know, like that. And then if I should do loop out offsets, the wrapper, then it's going to do something outside screen. But right now, what we wanted was ping pong. Ping pong. So again, two expressions we've spoken about. The first one is bounce. So if I was to use bounce here, I'll just select this tool and click elastic and to do like this. I don't know if you can see it, but it would bounce when it gets there. If I make it even smaller, it would really bounce. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. And then the second one is loop out, where I can delete all of this and I can type loop out. There's loop out. Continue. Close brackets. No, it's not continuing to do it. Zero cycle. Sorry. No, ping pong rather. Ping pong. So forward, backwards, forward, backwards. Those are the 2 expressions that I need you to at least know. The more professional you get, you can know more than that. But those are the 2 expressions I need you to know. Just know how to loop things out. So let's say on this design here, you want this rotation to rotate and keep on rotating forever and ever. Yeah. So you don't want it to stop at any point. So you can do normal rotation, then now do loop out. So you just continue rotating. You can see things that will be floating, going up, coming down, going up, coming down. They have a loop out expression attached to them. So there's no plugin for loop out expression. You have to type it in right now. But I mean, if you can type it in, then we are good. Do you get? So that is about it for looping out. So here we are back in our initial design, and I'm going to hope that the things I've spoken about, we're going to use that knowledge to continue and to do this. So let me explain how this animation is going to go for everybody to be on the same page. Yeah. This image, yes, the loop out expression will work for rotation. How do you get the motion tools? I'll provide the link to it. All right. In the absence of no extra questions, this circle, this lady, we want it to scale in. To scale in, it will bounce, then it will go up to where it will scale in from the middle here, then to go up to where it is what's it called supposed to be, right? Then after it does that, I'm learning motion VFX design at DesignerDAO is going to come in one after the other, position from down to up, and then it's going to be eased. So it's going to come in smoothly. Yeah. Then we're also going to add opacity to it. So it's not going to show at the bottom. Then at some point it's going to show. Right? Then VFX, motion designer, all of these guys are going to go from left position, from left to right. This one from right to left. This one from left to right. Position keyframe. Yeah. Then we're going to use loop out to allow it to continue moving as long as we want it to. Then lastly, this bottom part is going to go from down to up. Does anybody have a problem with what I've explained just now? How we're going to do this animation? Does anybody have a problem with it? Maybe start from there. Because if it doesn't make sense before you start, by the time you now start, everybody's head is going to start rolling. Does anybody understand what I just explained just now? How we are going to animate this? Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Emmanuel, raise your speak.
Okay. It's not a question I have, but I want to ask, how do we get this file now for this this script we're using now?
It is in the motion design track on here, this file.
Okay. Oh wow, I didn't check. Thank you.
Yeah. So what I want to say it again for those who do not hear me. I'm explaining how I'm going to animate this thing. So I want to start at the top here. I'm going to have this lady scale in. It scales in and then it moves up to this place. So you should see me use two keyframes, two properties: scaling, that's S, and position, that's P. Those two. And you're done with that one. Then I'm learning motion VFX. We're going to use position and we're going to use opacity. That is all. This one, we're going to use position, bringing it from left to right. I'm going to use one expression, which is looping out. Yeah. The last one is what is it called? Sign up today. We're going to bring it from down to up. That's all. Does anybody have a problem with what I've explained? Like for my explanation of keyframing, do you think you would be able to do this yourself if I was to leave it for you? No answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it, but you're going to when you're on your own, you're going to do it by yourself. But we're going to do it together now. Let's start with face. So I am going to there's this button you press here, and you can solo that layer alone. So in case I want to focus on that layer alone, I can just click this button, this solo button. My problem is most people, they don't know how to deactivate it after activating it. But I start complaining. Yeah, but then if you don't want to be distracted by so many things on your screen, once you click this button, you should be good to good to go. You should be able to see what you're doing. All right. So, like I said, I want this thing to scale in from the middle here. Then I want it to move up. I'm hoping that the way I'm explaining is simple for everybody to understand. But let's just do that. All right. So I want us to know this is the middle here. This is the middle. So this face, you can see that the anchor point is in the wrong place. So I want to move it to this place here. I'll use this, or I'll press Y, like that guy said, and then I'll move this to the middle here. We are good. So now we want to scale first and want to do position second. So for the scale, we're going to do we're going to add a keyframe. We're going to come to maybe 30 frames because we don't want it to take too much time to scale, or maybe even 1 frame, 1 second. It should be fine. We're going to put a second keyframe, so that's 2 keyframes. The first keyframe is going to be 0. The second keyframe is going to be 100. So we're just going to do this regular scaling up. Yeah, just like that. Now, like I already said, if you want to make it bounce, what you do is you select the 2 keyframes and then you add elastic. So it's going to come in like this. If I want the bounce to be more obvious, then the space between the 2 keyframes shouldn't be that much. So I'll just drag this keyframe back here. Now, if I press this, it's going to just come out like that. Right? That makes sense. So we now want it to move from being here in the middle to being up here. So again, 2 keyframes for position, right? Let's do it within 2 seconds. So we're going to put the first keyframe here. We're going to go after like 2 seconds. So from 1 second to plus 2 seconds, we're going to make it 3 seconds. Okay. I'm going to put it like this. Now, I want it to move from middle to up. So currently it's up already. So it means that the beginning keyframe is a problem. This beginning keyframe should have it in the middle. So I can drag this to the middle. Yeah. Or I can press Control Home and it goes to the middle. Any of the two, but I prefer to drag it down to the middle. So what that means is it's going to scale in here, and then when it gets to 1 second, it's going to move it from being in the middle all the way to its final position here. So let's see how that looks like. Scale in, move up. Yeah, scale in, then move up. Now let me just make some adjustments. I want it to happen maybe quickly, so let me bring these 2 keyframes back. So scale in and then move up. Now the only thing I don't like about this thing now is the easing. The easing is not great. So there are different types of easing. There is intro easing, there's middle easing, there is all the easing types. So I'm going to try out intro easing. So scaling in and then moving up. Or let me do this one. This one allows your keyframes to be put in the middle. So scaling in and then moving up like that. Or let me put this, scaling in, then goes up. Any of the two that you do. I'm going to leave it as intro like this. So it's going to scale in and then move up. That's the animation I'm going to do for that one. To try out something. Scale in. Now it's better for it to be intro. Anyways, so scale in and then move up. And just for this one, you can do normal F9 for anything that is in the scene. You can do normal F9. Let me look at how it look like. Scale in, then move up. I want it to be a bit faster. Just give me a second. Most of this animation stuff, you might need to like tweak a bit, but it's the same principle. So At the end of the day, let me just put this at 50. So it's going to just scale in, then move up like that. So that's about that one. Just scale in and move up. Yeah. I remember what I did in my own when I was doing it the first time, but then this should be fine. So just scale in and then allow it to move up like this. Does anybody have a problem with this? I think what I did when I was doing my own was I actually made this quite big. So it scaled in, and then eventually, as it's moving up, I allowed it to scale back down to 100. So I scaled it back down to 100 like this. This elastic something. Yeah, that's what I did. I scaled it in, and then as it's moving up, I reduced the size back to 100. The elastic thing, for you to do the elastic thing, just select two keyframes and click elastic. It will add the expression like this, and that's it. It's going to be elastic. Let me make this keyframe smaller. It's going to be elastic. Just add just click two keyframes and click elastic. It's as simple as that. It's going to be elastic. It's going to shoot faster. The distance between them makes it more elastic. So if I should make this distance between the two keyframes much smaller, it means that it's going to do that. I don't know if you can see what I'm saying, but then it's going to be a whole lot faster. So all I did was select these two keyframes and then click elastic. Click elastic here. That's all. So what I'm doing now is elastic makes it big, position makes it move up, and this last scale brings it back to 0, brings it back to 100. So this is what we have: big and then move down there. Yeah, big and then move down there. That's all I'm doing for this one: big and then move down there. Simple. So the next one is the text. I'm learning motion / VFX design at DesignerDAO. So in After Effects, if you want to convert your text, so this text that is here is an image. It's not really a text. It's an image. So I want to make it an editable text. So if I wanted to change this thing from being an image, because right now I cannot edit this text, I cannot touch this text because it's a picture. So I'll right click it and then I'll come to here. You see create, convert to editable text. So now this is an editable text. I can say I am not learning motion design, depending on your mood. Yeah. This DesignerDAO, I can right click it, go to create, convert to editable text, and I can say it's too hard for here. Let me do it like this. So if you have text that you bought from Photoshop, if it's from Figma, it will most likely be editable. Yeah, but if it's from Photoshop, it will most likely be in a format like a picture. So how is that possible? How is what possible? Just right click it, go to create, and then do convert to editable text. It will allow you to be able to edit a text. Does anybody have a problem with that one? I don't think that one should be a problem. So I'm learning motion VFX design, or I'm not learning motion VFX design. It's so hard. What if you don't have the exact font again? You should have the font. Product Sans. Just go to the internet and search for Product Sans. You should get the fonts. Most times, let's say you're working for a client and a client delivers a job to you and says you should do it. You got the client and you cannot find the fonts. You search online for the fonts and you download it. So I'm learning, I'm not learning, and then it's too hard. Yeah. So we want this to come from down to up, position keyframe. Yeah, just position keyframe, position and opacity. So I want to make this two separate lines. So I'm learning is one line, motion design should be another line. So let me just Control X, cut out this parts. So I'm not learning should be on a single line. It will not stress me out. And this one should be on a single line. You can do this in Photoshop before coming here so that this will not stress you out. All right. So there are three separate lines. I'm learning this one and this, three separate lines. I hope you can all see that there are three separate lines. Yeah. And all the anchor points are in the middle. So now I want it to come from the bottom of the screen. I want it to come from the bottom of the screen, from down to up. That's all. So I'll click these layers, 1, 2, 3, 3 of them, and I'll press P. P is for what? Position. So I'm going to click and create two keyframes. First keyframe here. I come to 2 seconds as usual. Second keyframe, 2 keyframes. Yeah. The first set of keyframes, I just move between 2 and 4. Just move back here. I'm going to drag this down. So drag this, increase this value. It is making the thing go all the way down like this. Yeah. Then what that means is it is going to go from down here to up here, from down to up. Forget about other things that are on the screen. Just focus on the ones I'm showing you. I can click on this solo button to show all of them at the same time. But I'm trying not to use the solo button so that it will not confuse anybody. So from down to up, 2 keyframes. Yeah. I'm going to press Shift T, because Shift T allows me to also see my opacity. Yeah. So now if I click on opacity has shown up, right? I'll come forward to 1 second and I'll click second keyframe. So 2 keyframes for opacity as well. The first keyframe is going to be 0. So I don't want it to show anything. Yeah. So as going from not showing anything to showing something, not showing anything to showing something. I don't know if it makes sense, but this is literally what we're trying to do. So now I want to ease the position keyframes. When I press P, it shows me only the position keyframes. I'll select them, and since it's an intro easing, like I explained before, you put one value here and you put the second value here. So it is going to do like this. It's going to speed up and slow down towards the end. That's what that easing does for us, right? So the only thing I have left to do now is I want to make it go in sequence, one after the other. I'm learning should be first, this one should be next, and this one should be last. So to do sequence, I can either just drag it forward like this. So you can see, I don't know if this makes sense, but it comes in one after the other. I'm learning, one after the other, right? Either I do that, or I come to this plugin again. This plugin has offset, step, and it has these things here. So what I want to do is I want to do sequence here. If I press sequence, making sure that these layers are selected. If I press sequence, it will sequence it like one step. So I can press it several times for me to get this like a step. Yeah. So when I press play, it should come one after the other. I don't know if that makes sense, but sequence allows you to sequence them. So they come in one after the other, like this. Does anybody have a problem with what I just explained? So what I did was position keyframe, opacity keyframe. I eased the position keyframe, and then I sequenced it. So it comes in one after the other, like this. So now if I remove this solo tag from here, I should have this girl and this thing happening at the same time. Now in After Effects, I can drag these guys so they will not overlap each other. So I can drag them to where they come in. So as you can see, this face, it scales in, it does its positioning. So when it's doing its positioning, that's when I want these things to work. So I'm just going to drag these guys out like this here. The three of them, I'm going to drag them out like this. So they shouldn't show up while this animation is going on. So now let's play it again. As you can see, it should now make a bit more sense. Scales in, it goes up, and then this two happen like this. I need someone to unmute their mic and tell me if this is hard or if this is simple from the explanation.
It's actually very easy.
It's actually very easy. All right. Thank you. Somebody else. Because you feel be Baba like that, you're not going to know. Somebody else. 10, 9, 8.
Hey, you can say it's
7.
easy when we're seeing you doing it, right?
Hmm?
Until
Are you
we try
whispering
to
to your
do it.
girlfriend? Are you using
Look,
bedroom
can you hear me?
voice? I can hear you.
Okay, I said you can say it's easy when we are seeing you doing it until we are left to ourselves to practice. So, but
Okay.
I think without it, we can actually do.
Okay. But you would have this video too, so you should be able to follow through with the video. So yeah, it is just yes, the process is looking long because I'm explaining it, but when you're doing it alone, it shouldn't be long. You can create two keyframes for position. You can change the position value. You can ease it, add opacity, and then sequence it. It should happen very fast. I can explain how to do this thing very fast now, but then I have to explain in a way that you understand. So those two are happening. Yeah. So it's remaining these guys. Yeah, if you break your process into bits, it should be easy to understand. Another thing is I can color code. So I can right click here and change this to maybe fuchsia pink. I'll change this to fuchsia pink. So I can know the ones that I've done and the ones I've not done. So you can see 1, 2, 3, they've been done. So I won't need to touch it again. I can even lock this button because one thing that usually happens in After Effects is you keep pressing the wrong button there. Like you keep touching the wrong thing. Yeah. But if you lock it, that thing is locked. So you won't mistakenly touch it. So now what I want to do is these guys. So I want this, and this to come into the scene. That is supposedly the last hard part. Yeah. Let's start from number one. I can bring the anchor points to the middle here. It's not as if it is important, but let's just start from there. So now, what we are doing is position, right? We want to move it from left to right. So open position keyframe, click first keyframe here, second keyframe there. And the first keyframe just going to move it this way. So move it out of the screen. So it is going to ease in. Yeah, it's going to come in from left to right. Simple, yeah. I'm about to explain what there's something called nulls in After Effects. I'm supposed to explain it now at this point, but let's just continue. So let's do from left to right, yeah, and then I'm going to add easing to this. So easing, yeah, and then it's going to come being very fast. Let me solo this 3 self. So then come in being very fast and then in. Yeah, perfect. Sure. All right. Only one full self. All right. So this is going to come in like this. Let's do the same for number 2. Number 2 is just like number 1. So let's do it from left to right as well. So this drag this to the end and then ease it like this. So these 2 are coming in like this. Great. The third one is going to come in from the other side. So I can put 2 keyframes where the first keyframe is outside. So drag it like this. And then ease it again. So we should have something that looks like this. Does anybody have a problem with this one? Because it's straightforward. Just position keyframe and smartness. Like this. There are times when you see this thing, you just be scrolling like news, like a news banner, just be scrolling on and on and on and on like that. So right now, does anybody have a problem with this? I'm guessing not. All right. So we want this thing to keep on scrolling on forever. Scrolling left or scrolling right forever and ever. So this is where I would need you guys to pay attention to what I'm about to do. Because in a way, I've explained what is going to happen. You know? So let's say number 1 here. This number 1 is going from left to right. I want this number 1 to continue going like this forever and ever. But the problem now is if I should look out the keyframe, the expression for looping out continuously is loop out continue. Yeah, that's the expression. But if I should do continue, if I should try it out, loop out continue, it's going to stay there. Nothing is going to happen. Simply because this easing, it goes up and then slows down. So if it's to continue, it's going to continue slowing down. And that means no speed. Nothing is going to happen. So putting the expression here doesn't work. So how do we do it? How do we allow this thing, this position to continue moving on forever and ever and ever? That is where we introduce nulls. Nulls are shapeless, formless. It's like a spirit. It doesn't have a body, but you can tell it to go up or down, left and right. So I can connect this number 1 to that null and tell the null to be moving continuously. It means that we make this number 1 move continuously. That's what I'm trying to say. So let me do that in a very simple way for you. You see this number 1? It has gone from left to right. Yeah. If you check your motion tools, you should see add null. Add null here. If I select 10 things, I can click add null to add null for all of them. But for now, let's make it simple. Let's add null for only one thing. So click one thing and then click add null. So a null has been added, null 1. Yeah. So what this null does is, if I should press P for this null, you can see that this adjusting this null controls the number one. Yeah. So now all I need to do is to tell this null to keep on moving in a straight line forever and ever, and to keep on doing that. So let's do that. Let's create 2 keyframes for null. So just click one here, and then come to maybe 2 seconds or whatever, and you click another one and say let it go right. So now this one is still going to do its job, but this one too is going to do its job. So as you can see, it is. Let me drag it out. It is the thing is going to happen, but as you can see, the null is moving it forward. Yeah, until it stops. The null is moving it forward until it stops. So all we need to do now is just to add expression to this null. So let me just copy out our expression. This one, copy, and then I'll come to this null and I'll add the expression. Continue. So what you will get is, as you can see, it's going to continue to the end of time, right? What is making it continue is the null. I don't know if that makes sense. Do you think, did that make sense to you, or do you think I should explain it again? I could explain it again using number 2. I need a response in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So, okay, I've heard. So, position 2. Let's do the second one. You can see that this second one is going to go from left to right without an issue. In short, let me remove the other ones from being visible. So it's only number 2 that is visible. So left to right, and then it stops. Yeah. So I want to create something. It doesn't need to have a color or a body or anything, but that something is going to be able to have position, rotation values without without causing any problem, without me removing what is currently on number 2. So right now it's going from left to right. Yeah, I can create a new null. Right click, new null objects. The null object is going to be in the middle. Yeah, I can pair this number 2. See this number 2. I can link it up to the null. I can click this number 2 and drag it to parent it to the null. What that does is, anywhere I move the null to, number 2 is going to answer me. Yeah, number 2 is going to answer me. So if I can loop out this null 2, then we are good. So to prevent, I've made it complicated now, but I can delete this. So to prevent you from being overwhelmed with too much information, once you've done your easing, once you've done this, yeah, all you need to do is just do add null. A null has been added. It has also been paired. You can see it here. They've paired it already. All I want you to do now is just to click on P for position and add keyframes to it. So this thing goes from left to right, right? So I want you to continue going towards our right forever and ever. So I'm going to add a keyframe. I'm going to add a second keyframe that allows it to go right forever and ever. It is not yet forever and ever right now, but then as you can see, it's going to go right and then keep on going until it stops here. Simply adding the loop out expression to this null, you've automatically allowed it to continue. So if you check it now, it's going to continue forever. No slowing down, no stopping. No, it's just going to keep on doing that until it's tired. So all I'm doing is a mixture of the layer itself and a null together. A null is an object that can carry on anything. So let me come here. If I create new null, let us look at this null very well. This null has transform properties. This null can go left, right. Let me make this because the null is red, so it's hard to see. All right, I'm hoping you can see it very well. This null has properties left, right, up, down, sideways. You can rotate the null. You cannot add opacity to it though because it doesn't have a form. Yeah, but then you can rotate it. You can scale it up, scale it down. You know. So all we normally do, all we used to do, is we would pair our objects to the null here. So what that does is it's going to the null. If I can keyframe the null will control our object to act like an anchor point. So it will scale in our object, it will rotate it if we wanted it. So we could have done that here, but in order not to create too much confusion for the listen, we will just do a mixture of the elements and the null. I'm going to do this one more time for number 3. So I hope you pay attention to what I'm doing. So number 3 comes from, where is it? Number 3 comes from right to left and it stops. From right to left and it stops. We are going to click add null to it. Yeah. Now this null that we added, we're going to add keyframes to the null. So position here and then maybe here. Position again. So this second position keyframe, we're going to adjust it so it to go forward like this. So it comes in and then the null allows it to move forward. Right? The only thing that I now need to add to this null is continue. So if I press Alt and I click here, it gives me expression space. I add loop out continue. And then what that does is it's going to continue forever and ever and ever. So it's a weird way to get introduced to nulls, but trust me, nulls are good people. No, the position is still working. This one is this thing that is coming in. This thing that is coming in and is easing in. Let me do this. Why doesn't it return after it leaves the screen? Like why doesn't the null go back to the beginning? As you can see, the null is going to continue up until the end. I don't know what you mean by why doesn't it come back, but I've told the null that it should keep on moving all the way until the end. I've told the null that it should loop out continuously. So it's going to continue this instruction of moving from left to right continuously. If I don't want it to continue, if I ease this keyframe, if I ease this thing, F9. Okay, why doesn't it come from the beginning again? See, I eased it and then it stops moving. Like it should repeat the process and come back to the screen again. Okay. If the kind of loop out I'm using determines what it's going to do. So if I say loop out ping pong, it's going to go forward, come back, go forward, come back. It is ping ponging. If I say it should continue to continue, if I say it should cycle, it will cycle. It will do that thing that you I think you guys are talking about cycle. So it's going to go and repeat it, then repeat it, because it is cycling. But the expression I put is what determines. So this is continue. And I'm doing continue because I want it to continue forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever again. So all that is going on right now is this null is controlling number one. Yeah, just like the cabal controlling the president. It's controlling number one. And if the thing tells it to continue, it's going to continue forever. If it tells it to cycle back, it's going to come back and ask questions. If you tell it to ping pong, it's going to do back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until forever. So right now, whatever is paired to it, if I should pair this face, okay, if I should pair this mic, let me make this mic visible. If I should pair this mic, this guy here, to the null, it is going to follow. It's going to follow. See it. See the guy. It's going to follow it as long as it lives. It's going to continue following it. Whatever you pair to the null, it's going to just follow the null, forever and ever. So right now, all that is following the null is number one. Anyways, so we have this happening, continuously. And we don't want it to start immediately. This one starts. So after I'm not learning motion and stick to the same sequence, right? Yes, it will follow that same sequence. It will just follow the keyframes of the null. If the null is doing forward, it's going to do forward ever. If the null is doing backward, it's going to do back. If the null is rotating to rotate to the null. Whatever you pair to the null, it is going to copy the behavior of that. So now, these guys, all the way to null 3, I want them to start after I'm learning VFX. So I'm going to drag this. I'm going to drag this down like this here. So after this plays, these ones are going to work. So let's do a preview. Let's see what we've done so far. I'm glad you all were here when I did the first one. So you can see that it's not really complicated like that. It's just too many things on the screen always make people feel like you are learning so much. Yeah. Like if you look at my screen like this, you'll be like, oh my God, how did we get here? But we were here when we got there. So cannot pretend as if you don't know how we got here. So look at what we've done so far. Yeah. Scales in position opacity plus, these guys will do that. Right? And that is, we've even shot past our 1 o'clock time. So that is how I'm mixing all of these effects together. The more effects on the screen, the more you most likely will be like, you've gotten into complicated level. Do you get? This is simple animation, by the way. So something you will notice is these guys, after a while, if you make this animation maybe 8 seconds, you can see that these guys are already leaving the screen. There's an effect that allows you to repeat things. So I can allow this thing to stretch on like this. So there's more things to see. It never runs out. So that effect is called repeat style. So reptile effects. It is in After Effects. It allows you to repeat a particular thing. So let's look at this number one now. As number one is going, there's nothing left behind. There's no continuation. Does it mean that I have to go to After Effects, or does it mean I have to go to Photoshop and add more screens over and over and over again? No. So I can, as I'm in After Effects, I can add an effect called reptile. So if I go to effects, I might not see it here because I used to use a what's it called? I used to use a plugin for that, but I'm trying to see if I would see it here without using the plugin. If I don't, I'm just going to go ahead and use the plugin. Of course, I will not see it. Nope. expression, generate, immerse, skin. We never see any of these things. Is when okay, well, the name of the effect is reptile. So if I do control space bar using FX console, I can do repeat REPETILE. I can search it. I'm searching it right now. So reptile, that's it, added. So right now, what reptile does is it expands your design. So left, right, and center. So this one now, I want to expand it to the left. This is left, I mean, left. So expand left. So expand left. As you can see, it's adding more and more and more and more and more. So even if this design goes all the way to 1 million, there's always going to be something for you to show, right? That's what the reptile thing does. Let's wait for number 2. Control spacebar, reptile. Number 2, I want it to show up more on the left, so expand left. On and on and on and on. And on. Number 3, I want it to show up on the right, so reptile, and on the right, just keep on joining on and on and on, on and on and on and on. All right, so now, never will it run out of things to show. Okay. So number 3, I guess number 3. There's a problem in one of the things here, but I'll sort that out. I'll sort it out. Number 2. Did I not do it enough? Okay, well, yeah. So basically, reptile allows you to view more things. So never will it run out of things to show you. Right? Does anybody have a problem with reptile? It repeats stuff. Anybody? I'm getting no responses, meaning that nobody has a problem with it. So it's just an effect. You can come to, if you select a layer, you can come to effect and presets here and search for reptile. And you see it here. Yeah, so it's the same thing. Cancel this. So this happens, it goes up, all of these guys follow it. And After Effects crashed. It goes up like that, and then this happens like this. Yeah. So the last thing I will do is this part, and I believe that you guys should already know. I hope you are saving. I'm saving. I believe that you guys already know how to do this part. So this bottom part, I have the arrow, I have bottom text, I have bottom here. So this 3. So I want all of them to move from down to up. So there are different ways, but most likely what you would do is P, press position, and then after 2 seconds, you would bring it up. So it's all going to be like this. To make it interesting, you would ease it, intro, like that, and then you allow it to happen at the end of all this stuff. So maybe here. So you should have this at the end. Yeah. So that is for that one. Let me color code it to make it. So all of these things are pink right now. If I click and I say select label group, I can select all of them. Well, the ones that are locked are locked. But if I do right click, select label, select label group, select all of them, and I can just hide them from the timeline if I wanted to. so that I will be left with what I've not edited. So sometimes the label group thing usually helps, but I'm trying not to get to make everything over complicated. But I'm painting it purple or fuchsia, just to make sure that it is different from the rest of the screen. The only things I've not done, so I'll be doing them and I'll be explaining as I'm doing them. I want a video to play in this place. Where is it? Face. I want a video to play in here. Instead of this face that is looking at me like this, I want it to be a video. So let's look on Instagram for a video. What's this now? Emoji video. Is it an emoji? An emoji. Right. Instagram. Let me see if I'll see a good video. Let's see. Some Pinterest. I'm right. Animated, animal, ani. So there was something I got from Instagram the other time, but it seems my Instagram has an issue right now. So I'm just going to just give me a second. Let me find okay, just let me do Instagram. Um, let's say, let's see if there will be any videos. There's a particular page. Who should leave me alone? Oh, well, all attempts and attempted attempts to get the video has proved to be something else. There's a video I used. I'm trying to just get that video. Okay, this video. But you can use any other video, Sha. It depends on, but okay. So you can use any video. People use videos all the time. So I'm taking this one and I'm bringing it into After Effects. I'll just drop it here. This video, I want to use it in my composition. Let me turn it off and hide it. So it's going to be in this face. Where is it? Face. So I don't need to now start keyframing the face again after I've done it the first time. So I can come into face. Here it is. It is an ellipse. I can double click it again. Here it is. The layer gongo is Pinterest. This layer here is Pinterest. See the name. So I'm going to bring this emoji video, put on top of here, scale it down. So it will be inside this place. Let's keep it down. Then I don't know if I've mentioned, but I could easily use this circle to draw a circle round so that I would get so I would get this shape. So it will be inside because right now it is sticking out. Or I can press this T. I don't know if you can see this place. In After Effects, once you just click this place, it will get rid of the it will take the shape of the thing at the under here. So just click this in short. And just like that, your video has been embedded into, so it's going to look like this. I can turn off the sound, so turn off the sound. And let me use a black background. So a black background. I'll put it under this emoji video so that it will not show the Pinterest that was there before. So anyways, does this make sense? I brought in this video, and instead of going to face, I went inside face into the place where that picture was, and I removed the picture and I put this video. So you can enter into your own and put a video instead of a picture at any time. So let me come all the way back to our design. So let's play the design. Can you see that the video is playing together with the animation? So beautiful design mixed with some extra ideas, you would end up with something that looks like, oh wow, this is actually very cool. Anyways, what else have I not done? The background. So there's something I wanted to do for the background. It's called 4-color gradient, and it allows me to play with the colors on the background. So instead of you to just have a plain red background like this, it's a plain red background. I want to add a gradient to this background, similar to you adding a gradient in After Effects, in what's it called, Photoshop or Figma. So I'm going to add an effect called 4-color gradients. Here it is. Or if you don't want to search from there, press Ctrl space bar and say 4-color gradients. So it gives you 4 colors, 4-color gradients. These are the 4 colors that it gives you. Yeah. And they all have keyframe buttons beside them, so you can actually animate the colors. So let's do that. Let's first give it 4 nice colors. I can go with red, slight tint of pink, and then that blue can be there. So if I wanted this last part to just be red, maybe dark red or something, I can change it. But all of this is happening because of 4-color gradients. All right. So because it has keyframes, you can animate the keyframes. So let me just, these are where the points are. These are where the 4 points are. That's where the 4 points are. So let me just create 4 keyframes. So point 1, point 2, point 3, point. You can also keyframe the colors too if you wanted. But so I want these colors to be moving throughout. So you know that anytime I mention throughout, it means I'm talking about looping out. So I've created 4 keyframes as you can see here. And between here and 2 seconds, I want the keyframes, the points. This one I want it to move to this side, maybe. This one I want it to move to this side. This 4th one to this place. Okay. And this last orange one I want to move to here. So if you're looking at them, fits. But looking at them, you can watch the colors. You can see the colors are moving. Yeah, they moved from up to down. It just gives it a bit more life, if you will. Yeah. So I can select these guys and loop out. If I wanted to, or I can just copy and use clone. So clone allows you to copy and paste. So I can use clone, and if I click on clone to copy the keyframes and paste them in a new location. So clone, select all of them, come to maybe 16, then clone. So as you can see, I've done so many keyframes and it's going to be moving around like this. So instead of using loop out, sometimes you can use clone to do it. And you can also animate the colors too if I want, but I'm not animating colors right now. But you can animate the colors if you wanted to. Is this not too? All right, so let me remove this. So now our animation is happening and colors are moving randomly instead of being static the way we saw it at the beginning. If this is not looking red like before, I could make it's more red. Depending on how you are with colors, some people are very comfortable with colors, so they can go crazy. But this so the last thing I would do is I'm going to do this last icon, but I'm sure you guys can do this last icons. The last major thing I want to show you is something we call confetti in After Effects. So I'm going to look for it. Confetti loops. Yeah. So I downloaded it from the internet and I want to add it to my animation. So let's add it. Let me see. Okay. Did that on side. Okay, this is the best. All right. So let me add this in to my animation and I'll scale it up. It's looking too much right now, but just bear with me. So if you wanted to, it's not like it's a must, but this is how I would have added more life to it, you know. So as this confetti, I could have effect colors and allow it to be one or two colors. I could tint. That's for tints. It will allow you to choose two colors. So I can choose one to be red and the other one to be maybe orange or something. So it won't look too colorful on screen. So something like that. If you wanted to, you can remove it. If you wanted to keep it simple, you can do that. You know, but then the only other things that we've not yet done, and I'm not really comfortable seeing them on screen, is something like the mic. So I'm going to allow the mic just scale up. The anchor points, I'll put it in the middle. I'm going to do this very quick. So I'll put the anchor points in the middle and scale it up. So from 0 to 100. What was that? Give me a second. The anchor points. I don't know how that got there, but it's what it is. So the anchor point is not in the correct place. So we're going to scale up from the middle. So I'm going to allow it to have elastic, and I'm going to allow it to come in after everything is done. So yeah. Same thing with brain. Scale up as well. The anchor point, okay, it's in the middle. So scale up as well. And 0, so 100, and elastic. It can happen later on. The last one is love. Scale up as well. 0 and elastic, and it can. All right, the last one is fire. Yes. Okay, it's called hands, and the anchor point should be in the middle. And I'm going to scale it in. Tishe, why are you standing there? Sorry. All right, so scale this part in, this last one, and then add elastic to it. Nothing much, then draw it back. Inside this fire, inside this place, I could add an emoji of fire. I could add a fire video. So instead of this fire burning, I could have this one. So let me just put that in quickly, but we've already come to the end of the class. So like I said before, if I press this T button here, it would take on the shape of the last thing. So the fire would burn. The only problem I have is this thing is only 1 second. How do I make it longer than 1 second? In After Effects, there is something called time. So time here. I won't really explain it very well now, but then just know that it exists. So this time I can remap the time. So I just press time remap. So it allows me now to extend this as long as I want to. So I'll extend it as long as I want to. The last thing I would do is, even though it's extended as long as I want to, it will play here, but it will stop after here. So if I want things to continue playing forever and ever, I'll use an expression called loop out. So Alt, click on this, and then I'll write loop out, maybe cycle. So they play from the beginning. So if I play, play, ever, never. If I do continue, I don't know, it will just stop. Yeah, to just stop. So best for this one is cycle. It just cycles through the animation and keeps on playing. So that is the end of our animation. If you want, you can add, see that love. See that love, the anchor point is not in the middle. Yeah. So let's play that again. Yeah. So I have another shape that I would have used for the love, but okay, let me just do it all the same. It's better for me to just do it and for me to leave it undone. So I'm just going to drag this on top of here as usual. I'm going to press T here to make it transparent to the last shape. Then I'm going to do time remapping. I'm going to allow this extend to the ends, and I'm going to allow loop out to cycle rather. So it's just going to loop out inside that space there. Anyways, so this together with some music or some stuff like that will, let me add audio. All of this stuff are in a place because I was in a course where I was explaining all the stuff. So that's why they're all in one single place. I was explaining some other animation stuff. So, yes. So I know that maybe I have most likely there's a learning capacity that some people have of that particular level. The brain just shuts down. Actually, just a passing through one ear, that side. But then, to a large degree, I'm 100% sure that most of you have learned one or two things that, you know, when you're watching it the second time, you should be able to scale through without having an issue. But yeah, this is the simple animation I said that we're going to do today. Does anybody have any questions now that we've come to the end? To finish this off, we're supposed to click File, Export, Add to Media Encoder Queue, and your render will start. So I will be rendering it out while we are talking. So I'll need one or two persons to unmute your mic and let me know any feedbacks or questions they might have. Just one or two persons, not everybody. Hoping that I like to type instead of say what you want to say out. All right, I'm waiting. I will not really wait that long. 3, 2, 1. All right, those people from DesignerDAO, you can round up. So all the files that I've used here, they will be available in the group, anyone that you need. Then the Discord, the video will be dropped by DesignerDAO on the Discord page. What else? What else? And then all the files that are necessary will also be dropped. So the final rendered out video is this one. All right, I'll drop it in the Discord group. Yeah, that's the problem with. Okay, so if you come to this drive here, if you come to the drive, okay, I would share the design in the drive because I don't know why Discord saying that someone should buy listen just to be able to send the file. So I'll drop the I'll drop the video here. I'll drop the video here and I'll share this folder. I'll share this whole folder. Anyone you think, I'll share this whole folder to the which is this get link. It's not this first link, the second one. So this second one is the drive that would have the finished animation. So thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for listening. That would be the end of the class. This file, including the this file will be saved and sent into the group. The plugin will be sent. The link to the plugin will be sent as well. But if you do not want to wait that long, you could just search for motion design or motion tools plugin. It's a plugin that is this is the name. So it's simple to just download it, like some kilobytes. But I'll drop a link on the group just in case. In the absence of any questions or submissions, this will be the end of the class. So your assignment is to actually provide this same animation, your own version of it, into the group. So I'll know that you actually learned and you're able to do the same set of skills. And the reason why this is important, this first part is important, is because we want to be able to like when we're doing the next class, I want it to be snappy. I won't want to be explaining what keyframing is and what scaling up, scaling down, or why I'm adding an expression. I want you to be able to even see, like whenever you see billboards where you see one Coke bottle or one Chivita bottle is scaling up and it is bouncing in, you will know exactly what is being done in those cases. Do you understand? So I wouldn't want us to go through these basics again. So we can now see like really serious things, like two serious things, So yeah, that's the end of the class. We would all see each other later. So bye bye.